How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid, which was down almost 7% on the day. We saw a strong sell-off in the market. We had a rally the day before, and they also did come out with earnings in the after hours. I'll be sharing this in the video. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $18.85, being down 6.96%. On the low, it tested $18.35, and then on the high, testing $19.92. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 22.224 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 23.218 million shares. So we have below average volume on the day, and we also seen a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 40.59. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. And it's clear to see that we are in a bear market with Lucid trading below all of our major moving averages. So we ended up seeing a high of the day at $19.92, and where we saw support kick in was at $18.35. Keep in mind, we did have a strong sell-off inside of the market, so the fact that Lucid was able to hold the $18 level, I must say that is very impressive. Now, as far as what we want to see going into tomorrow, if we see strength inside of these markets, I had a quick look at how well they did for earnings. I'm going to be looking for some strength, but again, we need to have strength coming in to the EV sector, the tech sector as a whole. So I'd want to see Lucid being able to go back to the $20 level. And that's right where we have the 21-day EMA at $20.38. If we have price action above this level, then we could see a potential move from Lucid going into around $21.41. But again, we need to have that buying pressure coming in to the stock. Now, if it decides to pull back or maybe we have some market weakness, I'm expecting $18 to hold up for Friday. And if it doesn't, then we know the next area of support is around $17 and the 60-cent range. I'm not saying that it's going to be going down there, but from what I've seen from the earnings, I haven't seen the call as of yet. Things are definitely looking good for this play, and keep an eye on it for Friday. Now, let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So we're going to take a look at the recent filings for May the 5th. So we see some closed positions here, but we also have Hazlitt, Burt, and Watson Inc. that purchased 1,760 shares, and then we also have MCS Advisors LLC that purchased 863 shares. So now when we take a look at the short interest, the off exchange short volume ratio is at 52.94%, and then for the off exchange short volume, it is just over 3.69 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 300,000, updated 9 minutes ago, and then for the short ball fee rate, it is at 8.95%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the third, it is at 57.50. And then for the close of the fourth, being at 52.94. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, it is at 19.03%. So what does this show us? Lucid does have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Lucid. So we see on the inflow
inflows at 61.69 million, and then on the outflows at 88.53 million. So we had an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 0.92 million, on the medium it was 29 million, and then on the small it was 31.77 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 12 million, on the medium it was 46.65 million, and then on the small it was 29.88 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you could see for May the 5th, which is today, we had that outflow of negative 11.08 million. Taking a look at the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 1.36%. So this continues to be a consistent range for Lucid. And considering how volatile the markets were, we know that many are still holding on to their positions. But we could see, as far as for the large scale orders, there were a good amount of outflows. But again, not surprised. We had a rally the day before, and it was just taking some profits for today. And what's going to be very interesting, will this continue into Friday? We'll talk about it further inside of the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for Lucid, before we get started, let's go over a quick overview for Lucid earnings. Lucid Group reported quarterly losses of 5 cents per share, which beat the analyst consensus estimate of 30 cents by 83.33%. That is very impressive. This is a 99.94% increase over losses of 89.29 per share from the same period last year. The company reported quarterly sales of 57.70 million, which beat the analyst consensus estimate of 53.43 million by 7.99%. This is also a good sign. This is an 18.33% increase over sales of 313,000 from the same period last year. So this is some exciting news for Lucid. And also to add on top of that, they did say that they're going to be raising the prices on some of their models starting on June the 1st. But if you have reservations prior to that date, so the latest being May 31st, they will honor those original prices. So again, this is definitely some great direction for Lucid. They're going to be able to make some more money because they're raising the price of their vehicles. But also another reason behind that is supply chain shortages, supply chain challenges. We've noticed this happening with other car manufacturers. Tesla has also adopted this same model as well. So that's why I want to make sure, as far as for all of my long-term investors out there, that you got the lowdown. And I want to tell you right now, this is exactly what you want to see when you're investing in a growth stock in its infant stages. So now you want to see some progression as more earnings reports come out. Now let's talk about the price action. So we ended up seeing a high of $19.92. So we know, as far as $20 is concerned, this is a strong resistance level. We did have a rally the day before, and of course we had some profit taking. We had a strong sell-off. So going into tomorrow and taking into consideration the earnings results, I'm very curious to see, and I want to see Lucid being able to hold up at least $18. If we continue to have a strong sell-off, then there is a possibility it could test support again at $17.60. And if this level breaks, you already know where this stock could go. I've mentioned this many times already. Now, as far as for a move to the upside, since we know we do have resistance right at that $20 level, we need a break above this. So if we can get to the 21-day EMA, which is at $20.38, things could get interesting, because if there's more momentum and there's more buying, we could see Lucid getting into the mid $21 range. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could see institutions have been loading up on shares. We also see a good amount of closed positions as well, but for the most part, institutional ownership is continuing to be strong in Lucid. And then when we took a look at the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential, and there's no surprises. We know this has been the case for quite some time, and with the recent earnings that came out, I would keep Lucid on your watch list, especially if you are a trader and you're looking to trade off of the volatility. And for my long-term investors, I've been saying it for quite some time on this channel already. When you see Lucid breaking below $20, it does come down to an attractive level. So if you're looking to add to your position, just make sure you're doing your homework and you're doing your due diligence, because you want to make sure that you're confident enough to load on the dip if this stock decides decide to pull back even more. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how Lucid performs going into Friday. We'll talk soon.